Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And here's one that I've talked about before, as with many of these recordings, because they are the greatest ever, and we don't just mention them once. It's this thing, Mikhail Pletnev doing CPE Bach Sonatas. Oh my goodness. Now, this won all kinds of awards. And what's interesting is that it's on this strange, well, this is a reissue of it. The original one I have over here, or over there, and it was in one of those cardboard thingies, and now it's in a regular jewel box. And it's part of a new series that DG was issuing years ago called First Choice, New Original Album Series. Well, it didn't last long. It sort of died on the vine, withered away. I'm not quite sure what else was in here. Maybe you guys know. But it certainly doesn't exist anymore, at least as an ongoing thing. It's not gotten a drop of promotion, or didn't get when it first came out even. Nobody noticed. But they stuck this on there. And they should. I mean, it's one of those recordings that absolutely should have been and should remain promoted from now until the end of time. It won, like, let's see, an Edison Award, and it got a Penguin Rosette, and it got, like, oh my goodness, just a Diapason d'Or. Oh my God, incredible. But most importantly, I said it was one of the greatest recordings ever. Forget all those other people. It really is amazing. Now, Mikhail Pletnev is a very weird and eccentric artist. And CPE Bach is a very weird and eccentric composer. So you would think they go well together, and indeed they do. The thing about Pletnev is that he can be just transcendentally amazing, or he can just be horrible. He's a much worse conductor, by the way, than he is a pianist. As a pianist, he can do all kinds of interesting things because he only has to deal with his two hands. As a conductor, he's got to get other people to do what he wants, and he's been, shall we say, either perverse, as in his Beethoven, or incredibly boring, as in his, like, Tchaikovsky symphony cycle and stuff. Really kind of shocking. But wow, at the piano, God only knows. I mean, the sky's the limit. And this was perfect repertoire for him, just as his earlier recordings on Virgin Classics of Scarlatti sonatas were perfect for him, because you had that very individualistic, quirky style that he can inhabit. He just gets into it, and and plays this difficult music. I mean, it's difficult not so much in terms of modern virtuoso technique, which of course is a whole other matter, but in terms of its rapidly shifting sequence of moods and kaleidoscopic changes in rhythm and phrasing and things like that. And he just gets into it. The most nifty thing, or one of the most nifty things in this particular series, is the very first track, the sonata in G minor, which is Vodken 65, number 17. Now, Vodken 65 is a whole pile of otherwise unpublished sonatas that weren't part of the big collections that CPE Bach published during his lifetime. I think there are 60 some odd sonatas, there are 30 some odd, I don't know. I wrote a book called CPE, A Listener's Guide to the Other Bach, which I am shamelessly plugging. Please get my CPE Bach book, because I think it's really cool. And it talks about all these keyboard works and concertos and other things that he wrote. And Vodken 65 has gems. This sounds absolutely like pre-classical jazz. I mean, Bach was the Scarlatti of his period. He wrote hundreds of sonatas, and they're all sort of like Scarlattis. They're all some of them are in multiple movements. Most of them are in three movements, fast, slow, fast. But the individual movements are like Scarlatti sonatas. They're binary form. That is, two halves, both repeated, and gradually evolving toward a nascent kind of sonata form thing. But the North German school, of which CPE Bach was the leader, was very, very different from the first Viennese school, which is the one that got all the attention, that is Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven. And their handling of form and their treatment of music was quite different. and perfectly valid in its own right. It just didn't become the standard by which all musical progress was subsequently judged. And that's why C.P. Bach's music went into eclipse shortly after his death, but he lived until the 1780s. I think 1786 or somewhere around there. I don't know. And just left an amazing body of work. And so you've got here, let's just be clear what you get. You get a bunch of the sonatas from Vodkin 65, which is great. You get the G minor and the C minor. And then you've got the D major and F sharp minor sonatas from Vodkin 61 and 52. Those are the bigger collections. The G major from Vodkin 62 and the E minor from Vodkin 59. These were the Kenner and Liebhaber series, or the sonatas with varied reprises. CPE Bach published. He made a living publishing his own music in his lifetime, which was kind of amazing considering the fact that he was an independent contractor. He was employed by the town of Hamburg to run the church music, which he did with extraordinary laziness and indifference. But basically, he sold his own works by subscription and did well, which was fascinating at the beginning of, general music publishing. So you get those sonatas, and you get also from the Kenner and Liebhaber series, the rondos in A major, in D minor, and C minor. Now, CPE Bach's rondos are really cool. A rondo is an A, B, A, C, A sort of thing. Not with CPE Bach. With CPE Bach, it's like A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E, A. It's long, and the themes are very short, and the episodes are very frequent and extremely highly contrasted. They're perfect for his brand of what do you call the empfindsam style, the emotional style, where you're constantly changing the mood and temperature of the music. It's just phenomenally, awesomely wonderful. Now, of course, this is performed on a regular piano. CPE Bach's own preferred instrument was the clavichord, more than anything else, and eventually arriving at the forte piano toward the end of his life. He wrote a concerto for harpsichord and forte piano, one of the only such things of its type, an amazing piece that's quite proto-Haydnesque. Actually, it was seriously Haydnesque because Haydn was in his maturity at that point, and they knew each other and respected each other, by the way. CPE Bach defended Haydn against his detractors in North Germany who felt that the entire Viennese school was just terribly frivolous because they were obsessed with the language of Italian comic opera, which is what the language of classical music really is. So this was another thing. And Pletnev has never made a better record. DG should be proud to have this and should be promoting it ceaselessly. But of course they aren't. But you can listen to it, and you really should. It is extraordinary. Music is extraordinary, and the performances are fully worthy of it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.